My name is Leanne Crandall, and I am a costume designer. I have a business that provides rental costumes, and I make them, or I pool them, or buy them. I have a degree in musical theater, of all things, from West Texas A&M, and while I was getting that degree, I got put in the practicum. My practicum assignment was the costume shop, and I had no skills whatsoever as a costumer at that point. All I wanted to do was sing and dance, and but I just kind of liked it. I've played dress up my whole life. On a whim, I asked if I could do hair and makeup for one of the shows that we were doing. And I was told no, but that you could do the costumes. In 2008, I did a show in Maine, Arundel Barn Playhouse, and we did Beauty and the Beast. And the costumes were challenging just because the budget was small. It was a small theater, and the costumes themselves were rented. So I had to make do with what we had and also use these rented costumes, and it was an incredibly challenging thing for me. And I just remember thinking, gosh, I could make these costumes. I could do this. I could have a business and make these costumes and rent them out. That was the first incarnation of that. Addams Family was really a fun show for me to do because I was unfamiliar with it. And one of the reasons why Alan approached me is because it's so new, there's not a lot of access to other costumes that have been built. So there's not a lot of resources for rentals. So we thought we'd kind of have a perfect relationship there. I need to build my stock, and he needs somebody local to build, because I was able to build these specifically for his actors. So we met and we talked about what he wanted for the show, talked about his concept for it, and then I went back, started working on some of the, I do a lot of character analysis, and then I start doing rough sketches. And then I showed those to him with fabric swatches so that he kind of knows what kind of fabric, textures, that kind of thing, color palette. So he's on board with that. And then once he cast the show and he's approved all my fabrics, I just started building it. And the entire ensemble of ancestors had to be built from scratch. What's hard to do with contemporary shows, if you don't have a budget to just purchase the whole thing, is if you don't have a contemporary stock, which most places don't. Why would you have a contemporary stock? Because you can purchase it. Having excess stock can be difficult because space is always an issue. So we were trying to figure out, how are we going to make the show look like New Yorkers who had style. They weren't fashion plates, but they had style. There should be a little bit of an edge to them. So I put together design boards of looks that I would like the actors, the characters to look like. And then I shared those with the actors. And then basically they brought their wardrobes to me. They used those design boards to kind of shop in their closet, and they would bring them, and then we'd put together looks from the clothes that they had themselves. So it was their clothing, but the way that we arranged it turned out to be still not their outfits. Oh, James and the Giant Peach. That was the first show that I did here at Emerald Little Theater. I actually did that show right before I went to graduate school. And of course, Jason Crespin is a very good friend of mine. So I said, sure, I'd love to do costumes for you.
So she signed on board right away. She knew that this was going to be a fun project. What she didn't know was that after auditions, I would be casting a cast of 96.
And I showed up to meet with him, and the cast list was on the door, and I think it was 2 pages. I think the cast list was 2 pages. And I walked in and said, how many people are in the cast? And he's like, it's 90, but I have a plan.
And so I said, well, here's the cast list, and there's 96 on the cast list, but I have a plan. I have a plan of how this is going to all work out. I already kind of figured out what we would do with some sharks and some cloud people.
There were clouds, and there were pirates, and there were just variations of different costumes. So I had to make a group of them. And there is just nobody better to do a show with. He is so much fun, and he is a complete collaborator. And he never ever leaves me to kind of figure it out on my own. If I'm struggling or if I have a question, always there for an answer. So he's a very fun director.
But she was like, I never thought I would be able to do this if you said 96 people on a show. But because we were just tackling, each group at a time, and it was one of the funnest costume concepts that we've had for a show for sure, and still the largest to date cast that we've had.
Whenever I have fittings with actors, some of the best things that happen are when the actor puts on the garment and they all of a sudden become the character. For Addams Family, when we put Morticia's dress on the actress, Marley Hoggett. It was so exciting to see her all of a sudden just start doing the moves of Morticia.
It just helps, I think, the actor fully realize their character, fully engage. I know as an actor myself, when I get the costume on, it's like, okay, this is my final now. Now I understand my character, and it kind of helps me even focus a little bit more to transform into the character.
As an adjunct, I teach Intro to Theater, which is actually really great for my background because I do have a performance and design background, so that incorporates a lot of what we talk about in Intro to Theater. It's really nice because all of my sections are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that opens me up to work freelance. I'm working for Emerald Little Theater. I'm also working for Lubbock Community Theater right now. Having the ability to teach, still get to kind of connect with students, which is what I love to do, and then have my business as well is kind of a little dream come true.